Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at this incredible piece of ancient wisdom that tackles a wildly modern problem. What exactly happens when strict, unyielding rules completely collide with a sudden, unpredictable emergency? We're going to look really closely at some ancient Jewish texts, specifically the Talmud, to see exactly how religious laws handle a literal life-or-death crisis.
I want you to just picture this high-stakes dilemma for a second. You're observing Shabbat. As you know, it's a day of rest, and it's governed by some really strict prohibitions, right? No working, no building, definitely no extinguishing fires, no catching animals. It's supposed to be a day completely dedicated to peace and spiritual reflection. But suddenly, right in front of you, this terrifying emergency unfolds. Someone's life is in immediate danger, and the only way to save them is to completely shatter those sacred rules you hold so dear. So what do? Do you hesitate? Do you go find someone to ask for permission? Well, let's look at how the text actually answers this.
Section 1. Breaking Rules for Life.
Right out of the gate, the text gives us a totally definitive answer to this overarching problem. It literally says, because the possibility of danger to human life renders inoperative the laws of the Sabbath. Notice how it doesn't say you get, a free pass, or that the rules are just sort of bent for a minute. It says the laws of the Sabbath are rendered inoperative. They are shut down. The ancient rabbis are explicitly acknowledging right here that protecting a life completely overrides standard religious protocols. No question about it.
Section 2. The faster, the better. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we transition straight into these fast-paced, high-stakes examples.
It moves from this high-level philosophy right into practical, messy, real-world scenarios, so there's absolutely zero confusion about how you should act. So imagine this horrifying moment. A child falls into the sea. The immediate response, obviously, is you spread a net and pull the child up to safety. But there's a catch, literally. By throwing a net into the sea, you're almost certainly going to catch fish, right? Making you an accidental fisherman on the Sabbath. And catching fish is strictly forbidden work. It's a direct, undeniable violation of the rules.
But the text tells the rescuer to throw the net anyway. And it uses this phrase that we're going to see repeat almost like a pounding drumbeat throughout these teachings. The faster the better, and he need not obtain permission from the Beth Din. The text is emphasizing that speed is absolutely paramount. You don't pause to worry about the fish. You definitely don't pause to go ask a council of elders if it's okay. You just act.
Or imagine this one. A child falls into a pit. The text says the rescuer has to break loose a segment of the entrenchment to pull the child up. Again, we've got a technical violation here. By frantically breaking the earth and, creating a way down, the rescuer is inadvertently building step stairs. And building and construction, strictly prohibited.
But once again, the Talmud delivers that exact same rhythmic command. The faster, the better. And he need not obtain permission of the Beth Din. The repetition here is just brilliant. It builds this dramatic tempo. It proves that the rule stands firm across totally different emergency scenarios. The specifics of the accident might change, but that mandate for immediate, unhesitating action, it remains exactly the same.
And the stakes remain just as high indoors, too. Say a door is closing on an infant, trapping them. The text says the rescuer can, and absolutely should, break the door to get the baby out. But breaking a door means you're consciously making ships of wood, right? Creating wood ships, breaking objects, these are incredibly clear violations of Sabbath law. The Talmud is fully aware of the collateral damage to the sacred rules here.
And yet again, the instruction is crystal clear. The sooner the better, and he need not obtain permission from the Beth Din. It even concludes this intense kind of action sequence with the example of a blazing conflagration. It states that someone can extinguish and isolate the fire to subdue the flames. Now, putting out a fire is a major Sabbath violation, but the urgent directive just echoes once more. Subdue the flames to save the life, and whatever you do, do not waste time seeking permission.
So the crucial point is this ultimate test of values. On one side, we have keeping the Sabbath, which is obviously one of the absolute most important foundations of Jewish practice. But on the other side, we have saving a human life. And how does the text resolve this tension? By placing literally all the weight on the side of human life. The laws of the Sabbath are heavy, for sure, but the value of a human heartbeat is infinitely heavier.
Section 3. Defining Pikuach Nefesh. Let's move to this concept and see how it builds on everything we just discussed. So we've seen all these dramatic examples, right? The sea, the pit, the door, the fire. But the formal term for this concept in Jewish tradition is Pikuach Nefesh. Basically, it translates to the preservation of human life.
This is the core principle we've literally just been watching in action. It's the specific legal and ethical doctrine in Judaism that explicitly declares that the rules of Shabbat, and really almost all other religious laws, must be broken in order to protect and preserve a human life.
And let's actually clarify another term we kept hearing over and over, the Beth Din. A Beth Din is a rabbinical court, a legal council. Under normal circumstances, if you have a complex question about religious law, you go to the Beth Din for a ruling. But that is exactly why the text insists that a rescuer must not obtain permission from them. The text is actively telling everyday people to bypass the bureaucracy. When Pikuach Nefesh is invoked, the legal court is completely irrelevant. Because time spent asking a judge is time stolen from a dying person.
Section 4. The sanctity of life. Let's dig into the theological roots here. So, why exactly does the preservation of life hold such supreme, almost unquestionable authority in these texts? Like, why is the Talmud so willing to let its own incredibly strict Sabbath rules be totally trampled the second danger appears? And this brilliantly illustrates the core foundations we're talking about. While the Sabbath is incredibly holy, it is fundamentally superseded by the sanctity of life. In Judaism, every human being is created in the image of God. Therefore, Pikuach Nefesh isn't just some loophole or an exception to the rule. It's the ultimate expression of the faith itself. To let a person die because you were worried about making wood chips or accidentally catching a fish, that would be a complete desecration of that divine image.
In fact, the Talmud actually goes one step further just to make sure there's absolutely no lingering guilt about breaking the rules. It explicitly states, "Our rabbis taught, one must remove debris to save a life on the Sabbath, and the more eager one is, the more praiseworthy is one." Just think about that for a second. You aren't just forgiven for breaking the Sabbath to save a life. You're actually praised for doing it enthusiastically. Hesitation is severely frowned upon. The text wants you to be eager, to just throw aside the rules if it means pulling a child from a pit.
We've seen how ancient rabbis navigated this intense tension between their most sacred laws and the messy, dangerous reality of real life, and they firmly decided that the preservation of life is the ultimate law, which really leaves us with an incredibly powerful question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. When a strict law and a human life collide, how does the ethos of Pikuach Nefesh challenge our modern legal systems today? Do our current systems prioritize life with the exact same fierce, eager urgency as this ancient text? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.